This is the most excited I've been for a hockey game since 1994. I think this is the biggest hockey game since Game 7, 1994, Rangers-Vancouver, when the Rangers ended the drought and they won in 7. Nothing better in sports than a Game 7. Can Canada end the drought? Can McDavid hoist the trophy and win it all? You fire your coach at the start of the season and everything changes under Knobloch. So the collapse here and choke job by the Panthers, which is on the line. I mean, so much here going on. Conn Smythe, 0-3, Canada ending the drought, Game 7. I mean, I think this is the biggest game since 94 because of what's on the line here. And again, nothing better than a Game 7, and I can't wait tonight. And just to put this in perspective, going into the third period of Game 3, it was 11-1 Florida, total goals in the series. Since then, it's 20-5 Edmonton. So I thought maybe they found something in the third period of Game 3. They lost that game 4-3, but trailed 4-1 entering the third. And you're talking about historically great numbers with Bob, and he's going to win the Conn Smythe, and they can't score on him. And now he's been a basket case. He's given up soft goals. And Ray Ferraro made a great point. Oh, it's just one game. It doesn't matter what the score is. And Florida is frozen. And they sent a message, and Florida is spooked, was the word Ferraro used. And I agree with it. They were spooked by what happened in Game 4. To get beat 8-1 in a hockey game when Bob had played so well. It changed the whole series. It changed, and I'm not a big momentum guy, but you can win more than one game, as we saw what happened with that game poor performance. Because since that third period, as I mentioned, it's 20-5 Edmonton. But Bob, who was so good at the start of the series and so good in the playoffs, has allowed 14 goals on the last 64 shots. This is madness, how everything is flipped in this series now.
No question about it. Well, it's 18-5 in the last 3 games, right? So,
yeah.
We've been talking a lot about this on the shows. What caused this series to turn on a dime? And I think it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it was, because the first 3 games looked like Florida was too good defensively, too physical, punishing the Oilers, and then everything just completely turned around. You know, you can talk about Game 4 and the Oilers winning that in the blowout and how, they won more than one game. But if you think back to the NBA Finals, it was a similar situation where the Mavericks won Game 4 by 38 points. And then they came back in Game 5 and got blown out in Boston. But the Panthers have now found a way to bounce back here, and I think that's shocking for a lot of people who are just not used to teams down 3-0 coming back this strong. You're talking about 1994. I remember that Rangers team.
Great series.
I'm thinking about 2004, the Red Sox and the Yankees.
Oh, no doubt.
That's what this reminds me of.
Absolutely. So people that will kick that around too, coming up about biggest choke and where this would rank. And Matt's a Yankee fan, so that's been brought up several times in the last week as well. So for the third straight game, I'm going to say this too. Based on Ferraro's comments, and he's exactly right about being spooked and frozen, the first goal tonight's enormous. And you saw how well Edmonton played to start Game 6. It's 11-2 shots on goal in the first period. So everything's flipped in this series. And if Edmonton can get the first one tonight again, then Florida's really up against it. Can you imagine that flight back to Florida after Game 6? And can you imagine what you're thinking if you're a Panther and what that's like? Where we can win the cup and get it done and finally win for Florida in a first Stanley Cup for the organization. Or if you lose, you're a punchline and a joke. If you lose. All the pressure's on Florida, not to mention Edmonton's on a free roll. They've already had a great season. The season was over. You're down 0-3. And now you can just come out and play loose knowing that you can, again, make history, end the drought for Canada. McDavid gets a cup, and it's completely flipped here, where if they get that first goal again, they're also fantastic playing with the lead.
Yeah, it's a lot of great storylines, actually. And you wonder if the Florida Panthers can ever recover from this. You know, they lost them 5 games to the Vegas Golden Knights in the final a year ago. And if you're up 3-0 and you blow this, where do the Panthers go next? It's obviously a disastrous collapse if that happens. I would like, not that I'm a fan of the Edmonton Oilers, but I would kind of like to see Canada in this Stanley Cup drought. It's ridiculous.
I'm with you.
It's completely ridiculous.
Yep.
1993 is the last time a Canadian team won the Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, how is that even possible?
I know. So I said it. Jonathan Davis is going to say it coming up, and I saw plenty of this on social media. All these people that have future tickets on Florida or bet them on a series price, they're not going to be upset if they lose. Number one, you could have locked in a nice profit because Edmonton was 11-1
how many
and
people
7-1.
actually did that? See, that's the thing I'm talking about. I know some people who bet Florida Panthers futures.
Right.
And when they're up 3-0, they're counting their money.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So they weren't looking to hedge.
Yep.
Just never happened before.
Right.
They weren't hedging.
Right.
Yeah.
But the job that Knobloch has done here, and every move has worked out, and even pulling Skinner in the Vancouver series and then bringing him back. But this was all over social media as well. Edmonton, this season, each time after 3 losses under Knobloch, November 24th through December 12th, they rattled off 8 in a row. From December 21st to January 27th, they rattled off 16 in a row. From February 26th through March 5th, they rattled off 5 in a row. And now you lose the first 3 games here, and the difference in turnaround. And that is coaching. And that is pushing all the right buttons. And that is staggering with that tweet, how Edmonton has done after they lose 3 in a row. The other thing is we've always talked about this the last few years because they've been so good and talented offensively. What if Edmonton got good goaltending? And what if the Oilers played solid defense? Well, Skinner now, with the win Friday, is 10-0 in these playoffs in games 4 through 7, with a .943 save percentage and a 1.40 goals against average. That's the other scary thing, where this was always possible if they played solid defense or got great goaltending. And now you put it all together, and they can make history, and they can get it done and come all the way back, and as Matt mentioned, end this drought since 1993. The other thing is the penalty kill and the controversy with what happened with the goal that was taken off in the replay, that they were in that position to challenge, because Maurice said, I wouldn't have challenged that if I was Edmonton. But the penalty kill is 94% in the playoffs. They've allowed 4 goals short, but they've scored 3 shorthanded. So in the entire playoffs, they're only -1. They've killed off 46 of the last 47, the opponent's power plays.
That's insane.
That is insane. So you're in a position where it's like, okay, even if we lose this, no big deal. We're going to kill off the penalty anyway.
Jeez.
So 94% for the playoffs, 64 of 68, and killed off 46 of the last 47. That, again, is the be-all, end-all with these playoffs. Again, the team that wins the special teams is 14-0 and won every series. So the Florida, won 22 on a power play.
46 of 47?
Yeah.
Never heard of anything like that. It's incredible.
That is.
Here's another number I can't believe from this series.
Right.
The Oilers win Game 6 5-1. Connor McDavid not only doesn't have a point, he didn't even attempt a shot.
Yep. Another good one. I mean, it's hard to make a case for Florida, but this is why we love sports. And how about
McDavid did not attempt a shot in that game, and he went from minus basically $3 favorite to a $3,000 favorite to win the Conn Smythe, and didn't even attempt a shot in Game 6.
Yes. Yeah. That's the other part of this story. He was 18-1 to win the Conn Smythe in this series. Now he's 3,000. Yeah. Since 2015 in hockey, Game 7s are 29-12 to the under. Game 7 Stanley Cup Final, 14 the last 15. 5 goals or fewer scored. 14 the last 15. Now, you're going back to like the 40s and 50s here. But still, it's always squeaky bum time in a Game 7. No one wants to make a mistake, and it's tight in how it plays out. And then the history here is on your side, and now we're seeing 5.5 as high as under -150 in some spots. And Florida, $1.10, $1.15 as well. And you go back, this is the 18th Game 7. First since 2019. The road team has won 3 in a row. Home teams 12-5 all time. Skinner 5-0 when facing elimination. And then Detroit did it, down 0-3 in the final, forced a Game 7, lost. And we know about the 42 Maple Leafs. So it has happened in hockey. And they kept flashing that on during the broadcast on Game 6, which it's hard to get away from. But it's certainly timely. NBA 157-0. NBA playoffs all time when a team goes up 3-0. Major League Baseball, 39-1. That's a big one, though, with the Red Sox ending the curse and coming back to beat the Yankees. NHL, 206-4 in the playoffs, 27-1 in the final, and the Maple Leafs came back to do it in 42. See if the Oilers can join them. I'll start with the total, though. The 14 of 15 underrun, but the last 4 games, though, here have gone over. And 2 of the 4 have gone over the old line of 7.5 plus 450, because we've had an 8-1, we've had a 5-3, and you just saw what happened in the last game with a sick beat. If someone's down a goal or two, the goalie's coming out and he's staying out. It's a Game 7, so it's like there's no point putting them back in. You could have 2 or 3 empty net goals.
Yeah, I'm not going to play the under here. I was talking about this on the Friday night show when actually the numbers opened. Total was 5.5, and at some spots it was minus 120. You're seeing 130 out there. Now, like you said, you're seeing minus 155 at DraftKings on the under 5.5.
Yeah.
Can't play that.
I can't do it.
Can't play. You're too late to the party. If you didn't bet that under 5.5 already to lay that price. But the other thing is, I don't trust Bob. You know, Bobrovsky's not been that good, and the defense in front of him has not been that good. It's not just a goalie. It's the defense and the goalie.
Yeah, yes.
And also the Oilers' offense has obviously woken up, back from the dead. And you also, Paul, you just mentioned it. You always have that potential for empty net goals at the end. So even though I lean under 5.5, that's not going to be a bet for me at this point.
Yeah. So all those people that bet McDavid to win the Conn Smythe, and maybe people wanted to maybe hedge that way. If they had a Florida ticket, you're going to win both. You could win both, rather. How great would that be? Again, from 18-1 to minus 3,000. You also have the MGM bettor, who has a $580,000 future ticket. That's what the ticket would pay if the Oilers win tonight. And we've seen him on social media watching the game. I mean, he was dead too. I mean, think about that. His ticket was Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, Real Madrid to win the Champions League, and the Oilers to win the Cup when they were 11-1. And that pays almost $600,000. And then he gave up on it. He's down 0-3, and now he's in this position where if he didn't hedge before the start of the series, he can certainly do it now as well. But how about this? In all sports, the home team has lost 6 straight Game 7s. The home team hasn't won a Game 7 since the 2013 Miami Heat, 4,022 days.
If I recall right, it was kind of a miracle win by Miami, too.
Yeah, it was a choke by the Spurs in Game 6. Missed free throws.
Spurs should have won that game.
Ray Allen on the rebound.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Kawhi missed a free throw. I think Ginobili missed a free throw, and then they didn't box out. The Bosch got the rebound. Allen tied it, won in overtime, won Game 7.
A lot of remarkable trends here. It's kind of, you got to see it to believe it. I mean, you're talking about what the Oilers are trying to do or the Panthers collapse. You're looking back in the history to 1942 and 1945 in the NHL.
Yes, yeah. I know. And the 14 of 15 underrun, which is insane. But again, you're going back in the 40s and 50s. But still, I'm with you. You're late to the party. But also with the empty net scenario and how Bob has struggled and the firepower with Edmonton, you're also going against 4 straight overs as well. This is a great time to revisit this soundbite. Before the series started, Knobloch, because remember they were there last year, Matt just mentioned it, Florida lost in 5 out here to Vegas, and Vegas won the Cup. Knobloch was asked about how important is experience.
I don't know how much experience is beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is. But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.
Well, again, the other thing, they're outscored 11-1 to start the series, and now it's 20-5 Edmonton since then. And
we're Buffalo Bills.
Well, I know.
Catching a stray bullet 30 years later.
Yes. But it's a good point he made, though, too. But this is everything looked like experience matters, and they're the best team and up 3-0, and now just it can flip just like that in one game or one period. And to be shook and frozen and playing tight and what happened, I mean, 8-1 will wake you up. I mean, to get blown out 8-1. And your point about what happened in the NBA is
sometimes
warranted.
Sometimes that can be a throwaway game and a gentleman's sweep. You win Game 4 at home, and then you get blown out in Game 5. That's what happened in the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. Mavericks won by 38. Then they come back and get blown out in Game 5.
I do think the NBA is a completely different animal.
Sure.
I mean, you just can't. You see blowouts all the time, people letting go of the rope, whatever. But I think hockey's a different ball game as well. But you've also seen huge tickets cash on first goal scorer. And Fogle was 35-1, and Brown was 60-1, and Janmark was 60-1. So we'll see if that continues tonight as well. We mentioned 1942 a couple of times here already. You can always email ftm@vsin.com or tweet at us as well. This is a great email sent from Mark in Canada. I've lived in Edmonton for 6 years. One of my closest friends and family involves Toronto in 1942, and then coming full circle in Edmonton in 2024. My close friend is Perry Langell. I think it's pronounced the grandson of Pete Langell, Langelle. He played on the only team to come back 3-0 and win the Stanley Cup, on the Toronto team. With Edmonton about to match history, and that this is, Pete's his grandfather, Pete scored the winning goal in Game 7 to solidify the comeback and win the Cup. And we'll be watching the game here in Edmonton with friends at a bar with his grandfather's Stanley Cup for a good luck with the watch. They didn't give out rings, but Rolex watches back then. He attached pictures in the email, and Perry said they gave rings to families in the mid-late 90s, and his grandfather it could be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But anyways, he attached photos as well. There's a great email that he's watching here with with Pete and the Langell family after what happened in 42 and coming full circle, that he lives at Edmonton and watching the game tonight. I thought I'd share that as well. But yeah, there's so much going on here with betting angles and the big games and 0-3 comeback, and I can't believe the McDavid stuff here. I mean, there's as you said, there's so much going on, but it all goes up in smoke. If you give up a softie or something comes out, it's 1-0 5 minutes in, and I just can't imagine what the pressure's like on Florida, though, too. I mean, Johnny Lazarus wrote about it today up at VSiN.com. Can you make one case for Florida where we think, I like them here, it's a horrible situation to be in?
Yeah, but I also think Johnny Lazarus liked Florida in Game 6, didn't he?
Yeah, everyone did. Good point. Yeah. The whole world was on Florida in Game 6. I know.
A lot of handicappers who liked him in Game 6 and now say, I don't know how you could bet him in Game 7.
Yeah.
Sometimes is better. That's when you have to go the opposite way.
Yes.
You got to think contrarian. So, I don't know. I to be honest, I don't know what to do with this game tonight. I'm seeing a price as low as -105 on the market and on the Panthers. Didn't Mike Palm was pretty heavy on the Panthers prior to the series, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I loved them too.
What's he think?
He thought Florida.
No, right now going into Game 7.
Edmonton. He said Florida had to win Game 6 or it's over. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I like second period over again as well, which should have been a rocking chair winner. But the goal disallowed, but we get there late with the breakaway with like a minute left in the second period. You can bet second period over 1.5 with reduced juice. First period under, juiced heavily. First period under, heavily juiced as well.